to raise major gifts. This is something that I'm very passionate about because I think it is what propelled my organization to the next level. So I really want you to dial in on what I am saying. This presentation is being recorded, and you can please chat any questions that you have, but I will answer those in the end in a form of Q&A. And then to ensure a seamless webinar, check your internet connection, close any tabs that you have so that you won't get interrupted and not be able to hear the feed or anything like that. So a little bit about me, you guys kind of know this if you attended the Build a Thriving Nonprofit Summit, but just to recap, I studied political science and public administration. I have a nonprofit management certification from Harvard Business School. And for the last 25 years, I've worked in the nonprofit industry in direct services, operations, and executive leadership. In 2018, I was diagnosed with cancer and I felt I needed to retire. And since then, I've been helping people take their nonprofits to the next level. Now, people always ask me, why do I include the diagnosis of cancer? Well, that is the whole impetus of why I started my company supporting World Hope. I truly feel like I know that a part of the cancer that I got was related to stress. And it's very stressful being a nonprofit CEO, founder, executive director, regardless of the title. It's very stressful. And I wanted to be able to relieve some of that stress for you. And in that, I just wanted to make you aware, I have a VIP resource library that has all kinds of sample documents in there. So you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can access those documents there. It's free. Join the newsletter, which you all are a part of. And you just go in there and you put the password and you are in, and it has a lot of documents. Also, I do live coaching in my group every Thursday where you can ask and I will answer any questions that you have. And so it really, really means a lot to me to be able to relieve some of that stress, because you have to take care of yourself. And in doing that, I know you're passionate about the work, and I want to make sure that I can help in that process. So what I do workshops, I do board retreats, webinars, I do coaching, and I do consulting. And who would benefit from this webinar today is any nonprofit ED or CEO looking to start a major gift program, nonprofit board chairs seeking to inspire their board to fundraise, or nonprofit EDs and CEOs looking to engage their board in fundraising. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get off the hamster wheel of fundraising. And what exactly does that mean? That means, Monica has raised her hand. Let me see what, that means you need to stop the grant. Not stop the grant writing. We all have to do grant writing, but you're not going to raise a lot of your revenue from grant writing. You're not going to, the grant writing, the special events take so much time on the human capital. And you're jumping from one special event to the next special event. And it's going to be really tiring, and you feel like you're on this hamster wheel. And then you're receiving small donations. So I'm going to invite you to get off of the hamster wheel of fundraising. And the way you can do that is through major gifts. So what is a major gift? That's what everybody always asks. So a major gift is a gift so large at whatever level that makes you jump up and down, right? So if you got that check in the mail and that check is for $500 and you're excited about that, then that's a major gift for you. If it's $1,000, then that's a major gift for you. It really depends on your organization. For some more advanced organization, it could be $25,000 if you work with a university. But for most smaller organizations, a $500 check is a major gift. So it really, again, if it's you jumping up and down and like, yes, we got this, that's what you categorize as your major gift. So there's no science around determining what is a major gift. So major gifts target individuals. So we're talking about individuals. When you're fundraising from individuals, consider the following distribution of donors and dollars. 10% of your donors give 60% of the money. 20% of your donors give 20% of the money, and 70% of your donors give 20% of the money. So I know that's a little bit confusing, but the bottom line is if you target individuals, a large percentage of your budget will come from individuals. Now, what does that mean to you in this nonprofit world? In 2018, $427 billion was given out to nonprofits. And 68% of that, 292 billion, came from individuals. And so we're always trying to go after that corporate sponsor, or we're always trying to go after that grant. But if you look at the pie, 68% came from individuals. Only 5% came from corporations, and 18% came from foundations, which is foundations and grants. And then 9% is bequests. Now, bequest is still also individuals. That means somebody left you in their will, or you were a benefactor of an annuity or something like that. So individuals is key to fundraising. So there's some major gift basic tools that you have to have in place. And this is just the basic tools to get you started. You have to have a written case for support. And some people refer to this as a case statement, but you need to have a written case of support. You need to have a gift acceptance policy, and you need to budget for major gifts. Now, when I say budget for major gifts, we're not talking about a huge budget, but with major gifts, you're basically courting your donors. So are you traveling to go to their office, and are you going to get reimbursed for that mileage? If that's a part of your policy, that would impact your budget. Are you taking them out for lunch or dinner or coffee, and you're paying for it? That could impact your budget. So we're not talking about a large budget here, but we are talking about really courting people, cultivating people. And if you're going to be doing that, will your organization and support in any of those costs? Will you budget for some of those costs? So even if I've been on several cultivating lunches with donors, and these people are valued at $1 million, but if I invite them out to lunch, then I expect to pay. Even if I know they're worth $1 million, I will pay the bill. And so those are the kind of things that you need to think about. So the written case for support, gift acceptance policy, and the budget for major gifts. Those are the basic tools that you need to have for major gifts. But there are some secrets to major gifts. And the number one secret is really, you have to create a culture of philanthropy. You have to shift your mindset. And when you're creating this culture of philanthropy, it starts with the leadership, it starts with the board, it starts with everybody in your organization. And so the culture of philanthropy, that means everyone in your organization, from the janitor to the president of the board, understands that philanthropy, they understand that philanthropy and fund development is critical to the organizational health, and that everyone, both the janitor and the board president, has a role in that process. It is key. So when we're talking about the culture of philanthropy, we're talking about the word philanthropy, and it translates from the Greek to mean the love of humankind. So think philanthropy, not the dirty F word, fundraising. Philanthropy is not fundraising. You will shift, philanthropy, not fundraising, will shift you and your board from feeling negative to feeling positive about developing relationships, about building relationships, because the key to fundraising is building relationships. So again, the culture of philanthropy. Everyone is an ambassador for philanthropy and fund development. If the quality of the program is not good enough, it doesn't matter what the fundraiser does. If the board member doesn't talk enough about the organization with their friends and colleagues, it doesn't matter how hard the executive director tries to raise funds. If the receptionist isn't sufficiently helpful, the best direct mail solicitation will not be as effective as it can be. Let me tell you a little story that really shows if the culture of philanthropy is not working in your organization, how it can impact, how it can impact your fundraising. And this is a story from my organization. And so we had board members going out, and they were getting people to come in and do tours of our facility and tours of our program. And we had a cranky older janitor, although we really tried to train everybody on the culture of philanthropy and make sure that everybody understood their role. We had a visitor come in, and this person was invited in by the board, and he happened to walk on the wet floor that the janitor had just mopped. Well, the cranky old janitor wasn't having it, and he proceeded to give attitude to the person who walked in, and it was one of our potential top donors. And so it doesn't matter, again, if my board member got them in for the tour. It really is about what atmosphere was created once they came in from the tour, and anybody, the receptionist, the janitor, can change that environment on a dime. And so you have to constantly remind the staff that we are in the relationship building business. We're not in the fundraising business. We're in the relationship building business. And in building relationships, people will come into the facility and they will get a tour of the facility. Or if you're a receptionist on the phone, you have to know the information that people are asking for. You cannot defer that or say that there's no one here right now that can answer that question. You need to be just as aware. So keep that in mind when we're talking about a culture of philanthropy. Also, the shifting of the mindset, really, when you're talking about a culture of philanthropy, you're taking the mindset of begging to philanthropy. I always dislike when people say, well, I'm going to go beg on behalf of this organization. I'm going to go beg. I'm going to go beg for money. That is something that is the mindset you should not go in with, because when you're begging, you're asking people for what they can spare, as opposed to asking people for a specific considered amount. When you're begging, you're saying, well, will you consider a gift to my organization? But when you're doing philanthropy, you're saying, will you consider a gift of $500 to my organization? And you're being confident about it, and you're asking people to invest. And so it is a whole nother mindset. When you're begging, you're presenting a hopeless or helpless cause. If you don't support us, we could close our doors, and, I don't know what the homeless would do without our program here. And that's not what you do. In philanthropy, you present a solution to the problem. We address the problem of homelessness in our community, and how we address that problem of homelessness is by providing shelter to those who would otherwise not have it, by providing food to those who would otherwise not have it. You can see the difference in the approach. Begging, there's no expectation on return of investment. Whereas philanthropy, people expect a return on investment. And how do you deliver on that return of investment? You make sure you do your annual report. You make sure you communicate with them via a newsletter, letting them know your gift made this happen. Your gift allowed us to serve an additional 5,000 homeless people, or 200 homeless people, or your gift helped us serve 10 more high school graduates, help them get into college. Whatever your mission is, there's an expectation of return on investment. Begging focus on the needs of the nonprofit needs, whereas philanthropy, you're helping the donor satisfy a need. So basically, you have cultivated and stewarded this donor donor and you know that they are motivated by solving the homeless crisis in their community or the literacy crisis in their community, but you know exactly what makes that donor ticks. Begging is passive, whereas philanthropy is proactive. Begging is fragmented, where philanthropy is strategic and integrated. What does that mean? That means you have a fundraising plan in place. You know, Q1, I am going to do peer-to-peer fundraising. I am going to make this many asks. I am going to write one grant. You know exactly how you are going to make Q1 happen because you have a plan. Begging is transaction-based, whereas philanthropy is relationship-based. Again, I've been talking about it, that building relationships is the key to fundraising. You have to have relationship. It cannot be transactional. You cannot have that one-time gift. I want to know that if I give you, you have to have a path for me to grow as your donor. If I give to you, you need to know, okay, she gave to me, I'm going to add her to my newsletter list. I'm going to ask her to join my Facebook group. I'm going to ensure that there's stories. I'm going to send one communication per month or quarterly via my newsletter. I'm going to make sure that I let her know how her gift was impacted my kids or impacted the homeless. So there's a plan. There's a plan to take me from that one-time donor to perhaps a reoccurring donor, or at least to retain my donor, to retain me so that I can give again. But it's not about getting me to purchase that t-shirt one time. You got to have a plan. How am I going to get you the donor beyond that? So begging is inconsistent messaging, whereas philanthropy is aligned messaging. That means your case for support is there. And if I read your case for support, then it's reflected on your website, it's reflected on your social media, it's affected on all the channels that you reach out to donors. If I'm a donor, I'm getting the same message on your website. I'm getting the same message on Facebook, on Instagram. It's aligned. It's very strategic. It's gonna take me on a journey. Begging talks about donations, whereas philanthropy talks about investment. Will you make an investment? Will you make an investment in a child's dream to go to college? Will you make an investment in supporting the homeless? But it's very investment. So when you asking for, change your language to not ask for a donation, change it to ask for an investment. Begging is episodic, whereas philanthropy is very donor-centered. It's all about the donor. And so you'll hear that several times when we're talking about philanthropy. And begging is event focused. And again, if you're spending your time doing special event after special event after special event, I really give you permission to get off of that hamster wheel, because philanthropy is major gifts focus. It is would you ask yourself this? Would you rather ask 100 people for $5, or would you rather ask one person for $5,000 or $500? So it really is about focusing in on major gifts. Begging is a development staff priority. If you're lucky enough to have a development staff, I will tell you, I was not lucky enough to have a development staff for a very, very, very long time. Out of the 20 years that I was the CEO, 15 of those, it was just me. So I understand that. So philanthropy, really fundraising, and falls under the board and the CEO priorities. And then begging, you have a scarcity mentality. And a philanthropy, you have an abundance mentality. So what do I mean by scarcity and abundance? Begging, and it could be around money. Oh, we don't have as soon as I say you need a little budget for major gifts, if your mind went to, oh, we don't have the money for that, so we really can't do major gifts. That's a scarcity begging mentality. whereas philanthropy is an abundance. It takes money to make money. I'm going to invest and have money for major gifts, whatever that budget is, right? So it's checking your mindset, and the mindset starts with you as the leader. And so the culture shift, again, starts with you as the leader. Fostering and nurturing a culture of philanthropy is not one more thing I don't have time to do. I get it. Time is of the essence. You barely have time to breathe sometimes. But focusing on that culture shift is one of the most important things, and it's a thing that you must do. So let's talk about the culture of philanthropy just a little bit more. The executive director and everybody's role in this culture of philanthropy, because everybody needs to play a distinct role, and one person cannot be expected to play all of these roles. So the executive director, the CEO, is the visionary, and they're the public face of the organization. The board members bring credibility and relationships, and that's why it's so important who you have serving on your board, because their job is to bring credibility and relationships to the table. And the development director helps coordinate all the moving parts. And again, you see, I put a star there because I will tell you, for out of the 20 years that I served as a CEO, I only had a director of development maybe the last 5 years. And so as the executive director, I coordinated all the moving parts and was the face of the organization. And so that can be done. The goal was, that was one of my goals when I put together a fundraising plan, was to move and get enough money to have a development director. But again, this can be done without a development director. You as the executive director can be the face of the organization, and you can coordinate the moving parts that are going to happen and support the board in those efforts. So take stock right now. Do you have a culture of philanthropy at your organization? And how do you know if you do or don't? So let's ask these questions. Do you have 100% of board members making a personal gift to your organization? Are board members recruited with the expectation of both giving and helping with fundraising? Is your executive director or CEO an important part of your fundraising team? Not the only part, but an important part. Is fundraising an important agenda item on every board meeting and at your annual meeting? And is there a budget line item for professional development and training? Is it enough to provide at least a minimum board and staff member training? So if you don't have a culture of philanthropy, ask yourself, what will you do to create one? Secret number 2 for major gifts is engaging your board. So board engagement is so critical, and we've heard this over and over and over again. So the board of directors is the single most important in determining your success or failure in raising major gifts. I don't want you to panic, because not all board members are going to be involved in major gifts. You only need a key few members. That is a relief, I know, for most of you. I would say out of my board of 17, I had a board membership that ranged from 17 to 21. And out of that, I had maybe 3 who helped me with major gifts. So, and when I say help me with major gifts, I mean they actually did the ask. Of course, there's other ways that board members can help with major gifts, and I have a webinar on that as well. But really, you're going to have a few key members that's going to help you with major gift fundraising. And that should be a relief to you, because if you're thinking, oh my God, all my board has to be engaged in this process and I'll never get everybody on board, you don't have to. You need a few. A few could be 2 to 3. So some of the things that board members tell themselves when it comes to this, I'm uncomfortable asking for money. I don't like asking my friends or strangers for money. I don't know any rich people, or I don't like to hear no. This is what board member tell themselves. But what I like to say and repeat over and over and over again, that asking is a privilege. You're offering people the opportunity to make an impact that aligns with their values. And if you're cultivating them and if you're taking them through that process, you know exactly what their values are. And so you are just allowing them the opportunity to address the issue that aligns with their values. So it is a privilege to ask. And there's one more thing that I will say. I will say that asking is not, it's not about you. It really is not about you. It is about the donor. And so take the focus off of you as an individual and put that focus in on the donor. You are allowing them, again, an opportunity to invest and align their money with their values. So where does board engagement start? Well, it starts at the very beginning, and it starts with recruitment. The process of turning your board members into fundraising begins at the beginning, and that's recruitment. It's like putting together a winning sports team. You recruit talented players that fit the team, and then you can start strategizing about spreading your message through your community. And so when you're thinking about board, think about putting together that winning team and making sure that you're recruiting the right people to your board. It also starts with creating a board expectation agreement. When board members come on, what are they expected to do? You need to let them know. You're in writing. The expectation is, attend the meetings. You have certain committee responsibilities. It's to make a personal gift to the organization. That's the give. And that's going to help you create a culture of philanthropy. I expect you to attend events. There is some fundraising responsibilities. There is a get. I don't know if any of you've heard of the give or get policy, but that is it. You are expected to give and you're expected to get. So whatever that is, if you're going to say you're expected to give $500, or you don't set an amount, but you say you're expected to give at your what you feel comfortable with based on your abilities, that's a policy. And then my expectation is that you get $5,000. How are you going to get that $5,000? You're going to assist with the fundraising. You're going to assist with major gifts. You're going to assist with opening up the doors. But whatever it is, have that and know that expectation up front. And this agreement is going to be coupled with the written board member job description. So you're like, where am I supposed to get all of this stuff? Where am I supposed to get an expectation agreement and a board member job description? That I didn't even know I needed a board member job description. Don't forget you have access to the VIP resource library. The board expectation agreement is in there. The written board job description is in there. All you have to do is retrieve it, customize it with your logo, make any necessary changes that you want to make for your organization, and it's done. So some of these things are there. Secret number 3 is having ongoing education. So, and when I'm talking about ongoing education, that's ongoing board member education, as well as staff education. But let's focus in on board member education. So you should host a board orientation. When you bring someone new onto your board, you should have a board orientation. If this is not your first board, the agenda should be facilitated by the board members and the executive director. But if it's your first board, then you facilitate it. But if it's not your first board and you have board members already, have those existing board members really lead on the board orientation. It's going to set a precedent with the new board members. Oh, these board members are really, they're involved, they're doing the orientation. And so keep that in mind. But the board orientation is 1 to 2 hours in length and should include the mission and the vision statement, the organizational history, the bylaws and any policies that you have, the strategic plan, your financial summaries, your board expectation, your committee formation, and your meeting process. Again, you can find a agenda for the board orientation as well as a already done for you PowerPoint for the board orientation in the VIP resource library. So you don't have to stress about that. You just change out your logo, add in the people that's going to be responsible for what sections, and yeah, that part is done. Now it's just about getting the board members to agree on a date and facilitating the process. So orientation is so important because it's a critical next step in the board building process. As a part of leadership development, new board members need to acquaint themselves thoroughly with the organization so they can speak intelligently about it. It will also help them participate fully on the board as quickly as possible. You know, rather than sitting on the sidelines for months or sometimes even years while they attempt to piece together their roles and responsibilities. I can tell you firsthand that that is frustrating, right? And if you do a orientation, you're going to get them on board quicker, especially as it relates to fundraising. So your board agenda. Every board agenda should include board education between 15 to 20 minutes, up to 20 minutes. This is an opportunity to do some skills building with board members on such topics as fundraising, roles and responsibility, telling our story, advocacy, all of those things. Again, you don't know how that board agenda is going to look. There's a sample board agenda in the VIP resource, and that board agenda gets your board meeting down to 1.5 hours, and it includes this 20 minutes of board education. And it also has a sample board education plan and the exercise process to determine what your board needs as far as education. So when we're talking about the board education plan, you need to poll board members to determine the education gap and to build consensus about what training is needed. This is going to allow for an open, productive conversation to take place, and so that you can know how your board is doing and what's the most important priorities for improvement. So at your next board meeting, take 15 minutes and ask the board members to help you develop this plan. And you can have them just brainstorm 2 questions. What do you wish you'd known when you started out on the board to help you make more informed decisions? Or what information do you feel you're lacking even now? And they will talk. And once they talk, you can then put together a board education plan. And that plan or calendar could look something very much like this. So in January, the topic is going to be Resource Development 101. And an activity we're going to do is make thank you calls to the donors. In March, it could be, we're actually going to talk about major gifts. And the activity is going to be Sphere of Influence. In May, we're going to talk about request. And we're actually going to do some visits to nonprofits. In July, we're going to talk about discovery and cultivation. And we're going to do the 5x5 cultivation planning. And all these things that I'm talking about, all these activities that I'm talking about, 5x5 cultivation plan, the sphere of influence, all of that again is in the VIP resource library, including the instructions on how to go about doing these exercises with your board. And so again, trying to make it less stressful for you, but at the same time, trying to move your organization forward step-by-step increments at a time. So major gifts are directly related to the 3 keys to board partnership: education, mindset, and engagement. Those are the things that you need to have in place. And I used this approach for over 15 years as a CEO of a nonprofit organization, and I increased my annual operating budget from $750,000 to $2.5 million and completed a $12 million comprehensive capital campaign. And my organization was located along the Mexico-Texas border in the third poorest county in the United States. And I will also say this, that $12 million was raised in 2008, and that was in the middle of the recession. So major gifts can happen even during a recession, even in the third poorest county in the United States. So if following this path allowed me to overcome all of those obstacles, it is something that you can do one increment, one step at a time. So even if you can't do all of these things, if you pick one or two things to focus on, it's going to move your organization forward. So now that we've covered how to raise major gifts, I would like to further my discussion with you, because I have something that I know will help you along this journey. What workshop participants are saying about what I do is, you know, these are some quotes directly. I love the creative, collaborative environment, the interactive activities. I strongly recommend training with Miss Sabrina. I love her energy. Sabrina has a wealth of information. The workshops are very easy to follow along, and I learned a lot. And this is one of my clients that was very proud to work with, because they actually smashed their special event budget. We raised over $300,000 with this event. So she said, when we brought Sabrina Walker Hernandez on board to help coordinate our nonprofit's major annual fundraiser, Puppy Love, she took our event to a whole new level of organization and confidence. Within a few days, she had schedules and specific responsibilities for everyone to make sure we were on target for success. Along the way, she was a joy to work with. Her vast experience navigating nonprofit challenges really paid off, with this year's event making more than ever before. I highly recommend making Sabrina and supporting World Hope a part of any team that strives for success. And that's Keely Lewis. She's the board president for the Palm Valley Animal Society. So why am I saying all this? This is why I am saying this, because I am launching my program, Jumpstart Your Nonprofit. It's a 6-week online course, and I will help you sustain your nonprofit, even if you're brand new, burnt out, or scared to ask for money. So it's going to have some weekly milestones. Milestone 1 is going to be talking about how to engage your board, which we know is critical in the major gifts process, or critical in the fundraising process in general. Milestone 2 is going to be creating your case for support or case statement. Milestone 3 is how to tell your nonprofit story. Milestone 4 is identifying who you will ask, identifying your prospects, your very important prospects. Milestone 5 is how to build a relationship with those prospects. And milestone 6 is going to be actually going into how to make the fundraising ask, and more importantly, how to say thank you to your donors. You know, most people who give will not give again, and the simple reason is because the nonprofit failed to say thank you. If you have not heard this from me before, I've given to now 7 nonprofits. 7. I had 1. So happy because they heard me say this. 1 has said thank you through the process of me giving. So it's very critical how you treat your donors. So Jumpstart Your Nonprofit is going to take you from a fundraising novice to a fundraising god and goddesses, with the step-by-step lessons and increase your fundraising confidence. This is what we're going to be sharing with there. We're going to be sharing how to secure major gifts without having a large staff, lots of time, and much board support. How to fundraise and get major gifts even without experience planning and fundraising. How to raise money when the organization has no prior history of fundraising and it's hard to know who to ask for support. How to develop a more systematic approach to deepening relationships with current donors, as well as cultivate prospective major donors. How to deepen the relationships with donors and secure their support, and how to get super focused and organized with a fundraising roadmap. Plus, you're going to get these free bonuses valued at $2,000 or more. You're going to get the sphere of influence or the list generator board exercise. You're going to get the cultivation plan. You're going to get a stewardship calendar. You're going to get that gift acceptance policy. You're going to get a board thank you script, because the board needs to be involved in a thank you and you need to tell them exactly what to say. You're going to get a LinkedIn interview on how to use LinkedIn to find donors. And you're going to get a planned giving interview on how to start an endowment, because endowments are a part of the major gift process and they're very easy to start. And you're going to find that out. So are you ready? Get set, get major gifts. This is what I'm offering today. For $397, you can join, you can get the beta rate. You must register during this webinar though. I'm only gonna give 15 minutes and there's only gonna be 5 slots available. I don't know why my slides are off, but why would you do it now? Because you're gonna get it cheaper. Yeah, let's just be honest. You're going to have an intimate environment. I'm only taking 5 people. And you're going to get input on the final process for the final launch of this course. So you're going to be able to help me create this that's going to impact so many nonprofits. And we're going to make sure that they get everything that they need on this journey. And if you say $397, that's a lot for my nonprofit, or I don't have it, I understand that. You know, remember why I started my company. It's really to help and support nonprofits. So I've developed this payment plan. You can do $99 down during this webinar, and you can make 4 payments of $87 due before the completion of the course. So what does that look like? I will let you know at the end, but I'm also going to add in this exclusive offer if you choose to join in the next 15 minutes. I'll upgrade you to our exclusive group coaching package for free. And that's going to offer you accountability. You're going to have the power of the cohort group behind you, so nothing gets lost or forgotten. If we're going to be writing out our case for support, and you're going to walk away with a final case for support. We're going to be writing out your nonprofit story, and you're going to walk away with a nonprofit story. You're going to get coaching, which is going to shorten your curve, with a weekly, powerful, intimate, live video coaching calls with me. You're going to get fundraising coaching, which is going to help you with your mindset and improve your revenue, and it's going to grow your nonprofit budget. You're going to get access to community, and you're going to get resources, all those resources that I talked about, plus more. What makes this program different is online training, is strategy. You're going to get the how-to, you're going to get the coaching, and you're going to get the price. And so with that, the clock starts now. It's 15 minutes, and you can go to supportingworldhope.com, product Jumpstart Your Nonprofit, if you choose to participate. But in the meantime, I want to know and answer any questions that you have about the content that we just went over in Major Gifts and about my offer. If you have any questions around that. Look, this is what I tell people all the time. You can figure this out for yourself, and you really can figure this out for yourself because there's so many resources. There are a lot of resources online. I am not going to lie to you. There's a lot of resources online, but we are talking about getting the expertise of a coach, and we're talking about the fast pass. Do you want the fast pass to fundraising? And if you want that fast pass to fundraising, then I am that fast pass to fundraising. and you don't have to wait and delay or try to figure it out on your own or any of those things, because I will be there to help you through that process. And I know that time, again, is very critical for you. And so do you have time to figure out how to write a case statement? Do you have time to figure out your nonprofit story? I can fast track that process for you, because that is what I am an expert in, and that is what I did for 25 years. And so basically what I'm offering you to do is take advantage of that fast track. And so with that, I'm going to put the link here in case you are interested in joining in the next 15 minutes. Again, this price will go up. It is going to be going up next week. I have actually literally went in and dropped the price at the end of this conversation, at the end of this 15 minutes. It'll be done. Thank you, April. You're in. So if you're interested in the payment plan, just let me know that. And how you'll let me know that is just send me a direct message in the chat and say I'm interested in a payment plan. I'm gonna have to do that a little bit different to streamline that process, but I'll reach out to you and say, here it is, and here's the payment plan. So with that in mind, I am ready to talk about any questions that you have around major gifts or any questions that you may have. And I do see some comments here. Okay, Cheryl said, I agree that nonprofits should expect to pay, but the donors who are really understand will insist on paying. Hey, Shirley, can you tell me what you were talking about there? If you're still here. I am unsure what Shirley was saying there, but let me see. Let me read it again. She says, I agree that nonprofits should expect to pay, but the donors who really understand will insist on paying. Well, I'm not quite sure, but this is what I will say about nonprofits and expecting to pay. I will say that a nonprofit is, you remember, a nonprofit is a status. It is a 501c status. It is not a business. It's not, nonprofit is not, the business is still a business. Okay. You still have to function as a business. There are some things that you are expected to invest in. And some of the things that you're expected to invest in are going to be your professional development, is going to be the development of your board. You're investing in it because it's going to move your organization forward. So it's just a tax designation. It's not your business model. So whether you are a nonprofit or a for-profit, there are still some investments that you have to make in that process. And guys, you get to choose where you make those investments, but you will have to make investments along the way, whether that's you want to upgrade your CMR customer management platforms. You're going to have to pay for that. And I would say, if you don't have one in place, you should be able to get one in place, because that's going to help you determine, okay, Sabrina donated to my organization, and this is how she donated, and she's a first-time giver. And remember how you have to cultivate, and you have to ensure that those first-time givers feel important, feel special, so that they give again. And then, she gave again, and she gave again. And so if you have that donor database, which we did as an organization, this is what it's going to allow you to do. It's going to allow you to be able to say, you know what, Leslie, over the course of 5 years has given this much to our organization. Let's say Leslie's given $100,000 to our organization over the last 5 years. Well, it's going to allow you to be able to create a society, and you can induct Leslie into that society and really make her feel special. Or it can say, you know what, Leslie has consistently given $500 each year over 5 years. Maybe it's time that we talk to Leslie about being a part of our monthly giving program, or talk about setting up an ACH, which is the automatic draft. So if you're not thinking about those things, you're losing out. So how are you going to get that information? You're going to get that information because you're going to invest in that CRM system. And there's just some things that you're going to have to invest in to move your organization forward. Okay, so Denise says, how do you pursue major gifts when individual donor engagement is not a part of your culture? So that is how we talked about the culture of philanthropy, right? So you have to start moving increments at a time towards the culture of philanthropy. And you have to start pursuing major gifts by simply, Miss Denise, building relationships. So for example, I'm reading your question again, just so I can make sure I get it right. How do you pursue major gifts when individual donor engagement is not a part of your culture? Okay, so you have to start making individual donor engagement a part of your culture. And how are you going to do that? I would sit down with my board of directors and I would do the sphere of influence exercise. And in that exercise, it's going to allow them to open up their mind and say, okay, who are the people that I go to church with? Who are the people I serve in social clubs with? Who are the people that social clubs, church, who are the small businesses that I do business with? And they would write down all of those names, right? And you would do this too, Miss Denise. You would write down all of those names, and then you would intentionally go about developing a relationship with those people. You should already be on a jump start of that relationship game, because these are people that you already know. Remember I said you go to church with them, or you do business with them, or you are in a civic group with them. So you should already have a jump on starting that relationship or having that relationship with them. You're going to get to know them either on a deeper level. You're going to get to know, what they're passionate about, what they care about, which programs that you have may align with what they are passionate about. And then you're just going to invite them to give to your organization. There is a whole process to it. First, you identify with the sphere of influence, and then you, when you do the sphere of influence, you're going to come up with each board member and yourself is going to come up with about 20 names. It's going to be overwhelming to take on all 20 of those names, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to narrow it down using the cultivation plan. You're going to narrow it down to, who are my 5 best candidates? Who are the 5 best candidates that I think will have an affinity towards my organization? That means they like the mission, they identify with it, and they have the ability to give to my organization, right? So do they have the ability to give? So identify those 5. And then once you identify those 5 people, what's going to happen is you are going to be basically assigned to cultivate a relationship with those 5 people. How do you cultivate a relationship with those 5 people? Well, it's called the 5x5 cultivation plan. So that means I got 5 people that I'm responsible for, and I'm going to do 5 touches to those people. And what are those touches going to look like? 1, I might pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but I'm involved in this organization. This is what we do. I think it might be something that you might like. You're not going to be asking for money. You're cultivating. I just wanted you to know that I was involved and share a little bit about the organization. Touch 2 could be, let's go out for coffee, and just take them out for coffee and you can talk about the organization. Touch number 3, maybe I'm going to invite them in on a tour of my organization. I am going to invite them in to see my program in action, right? They're going to come, they're going to, whatever it is that you do, you're going to allow them to see your program in action. Touch number 4 very well could be, I'm going to call and I'm going to get some advice from them. Hey, I noticed when we went to lunch, you said you knew a little bit about this and this. Well, I'm trying to do that for my organization. What advice would you give me? And then touch number 5 could be, I would like to set up a meeting with you to talk about how you can invest in my organization. So touch number 5 would be, you know what, let's set up a meeting so we can talk about how you can invest. But that's what it is. You take them from identifying who that person is, to qualifying, do they have an affinity for our organization, do they have the ability to give, and then you move them through the cultivation process, and then you make the ask. So that is how you would engage your donors and engage your board in that process if you don't have that culture of individual engagement. So what if during touch one they ask how they can support? Well, if they ask you, point blank, how can they support, and it's about, and you know, they're talking about money, hey, ask them for the money, right? Because they introduced the topic, not because you introduced the topic. It's very different. If they come to the table already knowing they want to give, then you accept that gift. But this is where the work comes in for you, is you make sure if this is their first gift, that you put them in the first time giver category, and you make sure that you send them a packet, a first time giver packet, whatever that is. It could be your brochure, it could be a story about one of your kids, along with a little token gift. And when I say a token gift, I'm not talking about something you go out and buy. I'm always not talking about something you go out and buy, especially with you, April. April, you work with teens. And so if you have a crafty teen that can put together something, I don't know, my daughter makes all kinds of stuff. She makes earrings, she makes earrings, she knits, and she's 19 years old. She knits, she does all kinds of things. And so if you have a team that's very crafty, you can have them make something, and you can put it in there, and you can specifically say, you know what, this was made by our team. This was made by our team, April, and this is April's story, right? And you put that in your first time givers packet, and you send them that information. You make sure they get added to your email list, and you make sure that you email them monthly or quarterly if you do your newsletters like that, whatever it is. But you take them through a first time giver's journey, right? Because you don't want that token gift. And that token gift is that gift that says, here it is, just so you can go away. You don't want that. You want a gift that truly means something, and you want another gift, and you want another gift, and you want another gift. So don't say, whoo, Jesus, I got that, and now that's over. No, you have to really keep going and keep supporting them and keep them engaged. So that, I hope that helps. Michael, thank you, Sabrina. Your story is so powerful, inspiring, information. Thank you, Michael. Denise, during my career, that has happened to me several times. I completely understand, Miss Denise. So April, gotcha. Good. I'm glad that that makes sense to everyone. And so this is the other thing that I want to say, just about the Jumpstart Your Nonprofit program. What I'm going to say is, look, the program is going to start on January the 6th. So if you sign up today, what's going to happen is, we're not going to wait till January the 6th gets started. On December the 2nd, we're going to have an orientation. But then on December the 9th and December the 16th, I am going to help you develop your fundraising plan for 2021. What does that mean? That means we're going to sit together and we're going to say, okay, my fundraising goal for 2021 is $25,000. How are we going to get there? We're going to sit down and we're going to map how you're going to get there. We're going to have quarter one, quarter two, 3, and 4. Quarter one, I'm going to do peer-to-peer fundraising. I'm going to write one grant. I'm going to do whatever it is that your map is laid out to do. But we're going to work that together. And that's going to happen on the 9th and the 16th. And then on the 6th, we're going to start off with writing your case, engaging your board, doing your case statement. So there's several things that you're going to walk away with that you're going to be able to use over and over again. Your fundraising plan, your case for support, your nonprofit story, how to do the proper thank you, your first time donor packet, you're going to walk away with a list of prospects and how to get your board involved in that prospect process. It is going to be massive, and I just know what it can mean for your organization. So Denise says donors have offered to give during touch one. Yes, they have. And if you do that, that is perfectly fine, like I said, but you don't want it. You don't want to take their token gift and walk away, because usually it is a token gift. It is a gift that says, here you go. I know you're a nonprofit. I know you want money. Here's my check. That's not the best that they could have given. You've left, trust me, you've left money on the table. And so to get that money in your nonprofit, you got to come up with the stewardship plan and the cultivation plan and how you're going to keep going with those nonprofits. So April, I got you. Be expecting an email from me on the details of the payment plan. And if anybody else is interested, please let me know. I know you need some time to think about it, but I will say that next week, this price is definitely going to go up. I know the value that is being offered, and I know what you can walk away with. And again, you're going to be walking away with your fundraising plan, your case for support, your nonprofit story, your cultivation process, your list. And so it could really make a difference in your nonprofit. And with that, guys, if no one has any other questions around, major gifts, I really just want to encourage you around that major gifts process. And I'm going to say that, with as little as 5 hours a day, it's been proven that with as little as not 5 hours a day, 5 hours per week, you can create a huge impact in your organization by focusing in on major gifts. And so that's what we're going to be focusing in on with this, with the Jumpstart Your Nonprofit Major Gifts. It's going to make a difference in your organization, and you're going to get off that hamster wheel of fundraising, of always each quarter trying to do like a Facebook fundraiser or trying to do a special event, and it's just sucking all your time and your energy. So I invite you to get off that hamster wheel